Earlier this year, the District of Columbia passed a medical marijuana law, adding to the list of 14 states across the U.S. of A. with similar laws. But there's one big difference. The D.C. law includes a provision requiring that the medical marijuana be sold at a discount to people in the city who are poor and qualify. But is that a good idea when marijuana has been considered addictive and dangerous to discount the price? We are joined today by Aaron Houston, the Executive Director of Students for a Sensible Drug Policy. He's in D.C. And Gerald Mentz is the CEO of A Better Tomorrow. He's in L.A. Guys, thanks for joining us. Aaron, let me start with you. Why should people, poor people in D.C., get discounted pot?
Well, you have to look at some historical perspective here. When you consider the fact that Congress has actually blocked the D.C. law from taking effect for 12 years, this was passed in 1998 when there were a lot of very desperately ill cancer and AIDS patients, particularly HIV/AIDS patients, in the District of Columbia with one of the highest rates of it in the country. And marijuana was literally a life-saving medicine. But really, the bigger question here, the bigger scandal, is that our current marijuana laws, the prohibition overall, gives the cartels 70% of their profits.
Aaron, that's not my question.
230 American cities.
Aaron, my question is, why do poor people need discounted pot?
Well, if you're an AIDS patient who is desperately ill and who qualifies for the medical marijuana program in the first place with this severe illness like HIV/AIDS with severe emesis, throwing up, I mean, it's a humane thing to do, and it's just simply an extension of our public assistance laws for health care anyway.
All right, there you go. Gerald, do you think this is nuts?
Yeah, this is, the argument about the AIDS patients and the cancer patients. It's the same bogus argument that they used out here in California. And we've had legalized marijuana out here for 10 years. I run a drug rehab where we have 22-year-old kids that are laughing about it. They go, yeah, I went into the medical marijuana clinic and told them my ankle hurt. I had anxiety. You know what?
Gerald,
I'm not
you're
a
off
doctor.
base.
One at a time. Continue, Gerald.
Okay, you know what? I'm not off base because in California, these medical marijuana clinics, those one that's set up to look like a 50s diner. Last time I got my medical services provided to me, I saw a doctor, I went to a pharmacy, and they gave me a prescription. They told me how much to take. It was prescribed. They told me when to stop taking it. They didn't say, if I go and have a tooth pulled, they don't say, well, just go take some opiates.
Gerald, the D.C. law is a lot more restrictive.
Aaron, the problem is the way it's set up, and California is the perfect example. It is rife with trouble. There is no standard. I mean, if it were just people with HIV that got it, that would be one thing. But people do go in and say, I have a headache. Next thing you know, they got a prescription for pot. Now they can say, I'm broke. They're getting it for practically free.
This is exactly why we need to regulate it, first of all, in California and nationwide, and that's why we're proud to be partnering with Fire Dog Lake and the Just Say Now campaign. But let me get to the other point about D.C. D.C.'s law is extraordinarily restrictive. D.C.'s new medical marijuana law has very tight circumstances under which people can actually qualify to become a patient in the first place, to even get the recommendation in the first place, not to mention the income requirements that are above and beyond that requirement to become a patient.
All right, great debate. Aaron and Gerald, we thank you very much for joining us live from D.C. and L.A.
Thank you.